Well, today I want to tell you just a little bit about the brain and the immune system. And I think this was prompted because we've had a couple kids that have come in, haven't seen them for a year. And not seeing them in a year means that they haven't been adjusted in the year. They've been sick for a week or two, missed school, not doing good. A lot of the problems that they had before have come back. When they were getting adjusted regularly, they were doing very, very well, according to their moms. But I wanted to bring this to your attention. I'm going to read a few things here from this book, Healing in the Mind. And this is basically transcripts from a PBS special that Bill Moyers did some time ago. But this is an interview that he did with David Felton. It's called The Brain and the Immune System. I think you can see that there. But David Felton is a MD, PhD, professor of neurobiology and anatomy at the University of Rochester School of Medicine. He and his wife Suzanne Felton, PhD, wouldn't you love to sit at their dinner table and listen to their conversations? A couple of PhDs. They've discovered that nerve fibers physically link the nervous system and the immune system. Dr. Felton was the recipient of the MacArthur Foundation Prize Fellowship in 1983 and is associate editor of the journal Brain, Behavior, and Immunity. So this guy's up at the top of the heap in the pecking order in psychoneuroimmunology. Moyers asked him, said, how did you get involved in psychoneuroimmunology? And psychoneuroimmunology basically is the mind, the nervous system, and the way that affects your immune system. So he said, almost by accident I came to it with an MD and a PhD directed towards neurosciences. I'd always been interested in the brain and had studied some of the chemical mediators called neurotransmitters that communicate from cell to cell in the brain. One day I was looking through a microscope at tissue sections of the liver in order to identify nerves that travel alongside blood vessels. I was having trouble seeing what the cells really look like, so I said, let's go to the spleen. Everybody knows what the spleen looks like. So I started looking at blood vessels and came to the surrounding areas of the spleen. I started looking at blood vessels and some of the surrounding areas in the spleen. And there, sitting in the middle of these vast fields of cells of the immune system, was a bunch of nerve fibers. I looked at them and thought, what is this? Nerve fibers aren't supposed to talk to the cells of the immune system. What are they doing here? Wow. So we cut some more sections and looked, and there they were again. We tried other blocks of tissue, and there they were again. They kept showing up again and again. We and others eventually discovered nerve fibers going into virtually every organ of the immune system and forming direct contacts with the immune cells. Moyers asked, what was the significance of this? Felton says, well, it suggested that the nerves might influence the nervous system. Hello? Moyers said, so when you were looking into that microscope, you were seeing something about the healing process for the first time? Felton, I didn't realize it at the time except that I was struck by the possibility that the nerves might be controlling some aspect of the immune response. A student of mine, John Williams, carried out some of the very first studies demonstrating this. But in those days, it was almost dogma that the immune system is autonomous and doesn't have any outside controls, meaning that the immune system just runs by itself and then nothing else controls it. It's just there doing its thing. We were almost afraid to tell anyone for fear people would say, oh, geez, don't you know about the work of Glutz and colleagues? Or they'd come up with some reference that we had never found and make us look like a bunch of doofuses. That's how you spell it, D-U-F-U-S-E-S, doofuses, because we didn't know what we should have known. So we scoured the literature high and low, searched it high and low, and tried to find every citation on the subject. And the more we looked, the more we realized that if you look carefully at some of the photographs in other people's publications, you could see nerve fibers sitting among the lymphocytes, but nobody ever commented on it. When we went to the immunology literature, we found that the immunologists had discovered receptors for neurotransmitters sitting on the surface of cells of the immune system, but they couldn't quite make sense of it. Why would a lymphocyte have a receptor for a neurotransmitter? The question just fell by the wayside. Nobody really put two and two together and tried to make a story about the brain having a direct influence in the immune system. So we joined our colleagues, some of our colleagues who are immunologists, and started studying the immunologic changes that occur when you use drugs to affect the neurotransmitters, or, key, when you take the nerves away. Now listen to this. Much to our surprise, we found that if you took the nerves away from the spleen or lymph nodes, you virtually stopped immune responses in their tracks. So just think of this. If you have a subluxation up here in the upper neck, and this goes out of alignment, and it's shutting off the communication from the brain to the body, isn't that just like taking the nerves away from the organs? From the spleen, from the thymus, from all the other immune organs? Sure it is. So, my gosh, if we can keep this in alignment, now we've got clean flow of information from the brain to the tissue cell, and the brain can accurately control the body so the body can have a normal immune response, and the end result of that is you get to stay healthier. But you have to be checked on a regular basis so that you can get that done. You know, people ask me, well, can you adjust yourself? No. Well, who adjusts you? Well, I drive 2 hours one way to Lancaster, to the chiropractor that's my go-to guy, so that I can get what I really need. And for me to go to anybody that's doing this kind of Blair work that we're doing, it takes an hour to get there, one way. So it's really, really, really critical that you keep this upper neck area, this area here, in alignment so that you can get clear communication from brain cell to tissue cell so that you can have the highest health potential. Because if your health potential stays high, then you get to stay high. Not high, your immune system gets to stay high. But when that happens, now you have a strong defense against the world out there. And remember that germs don't make you sick. Sick people get everything, healthy people don't get sick. You have to be a fertile ground for disease to take hold of you. Bacteria only gets a hold on weak, dying, or dead tissue. And so if you got bacteria building up in your body, they're not the enemy. They're doing their job. Just like buzzards come down to clean up a dead cow, they don't kill the cow. They show up after the cow's dead. So if you have bacteria building up in your body, taking antibiotics might kill the bacteria, but now you have dead tissue cells and dead bacteria, and that's why you get a higher rate of reinfection when that happens. So keeping the nervous system free of interference, this lifeline through here, keeping that free of interference is key to your health. So that's why we're always recommending that you get checked on a regular basis so that you can keep these life channels open. I hope that helps some of the questions that we've had about the immune system and the nervous system. You guys have a great day today, okay? Bye for now.